Into ya. It's your girl Key. I am a qualified, experienced psychotherapist, and I just wanted to take this time to respond to the anonymous post today that said, I don't know where else I can go to get advice about being married and having a young child and a husband who it sounds like is basically not having a relationship with his wife. And I think just kind of reading through this, just like obviously the in-laws have come up, which is often, a challenge in terms of intimate relationships. However, I think one of the challenges is that you need to have a conversation with your husband about your relationship. Now, that is not going to be easy, especially if he's reluctant to not have the conversation. But what you've said here is you're concerned about the potential to get postnatal depression. And, there's no two ways about it. Depression will rob you. And I think, as a seasoned therapist who sees people, I've seen clients up to 80 years old down to, I don't work with, I work with 18-year-olds. Like, I've seen people across the lifespan. If you sense that depression is coming over you, you need to take action. That is one of the gifts you can give yourself, is to look after yourself, especially if you're catching it at a sapling stage. If you're catching it at a sapling stage, trust me, it's better for you to catch it now than catch it 50 years later when it could rob you. It could rob you of your life. It can rob you of being an attentive mother. It can rob you of a life, a quality, a grade of life, not just struggling and suffering to get by, but a life where you thrive. So I think that is of the utmost importance. And, I don't know how you would initiate that conversation, but one of the ways that you could do that is to begin to talk about the fact that you've been feeling down and you may feel neglected by your partner, and that you'd like to talk about the quality, the grade of your relationship. That's a potential place to start. You have to then notice how they react. Now, remember, sadly, the reality is sometimes other people are not invested in our well-being. This is life, hey? It happens. If someone's not invested in your well-being, well, you have to be invested in your well-being. You have to put your best foot forward first. Because, as I say in every one of my videos, and trust me, no one's coming to save us. And when we get depressed, those same people will kick us on the foot and say, look at you all down and depressed. Yes? So don't expect anybody else to take responsibility for your mental health and your well-being. You have to take that seriously. And if you raise the issue with your husband and you get no fruit, nothing to say, okay, you've got something to cling to, my encouragement is that either you seek private consultation for therapy, or you go to your doctors and begin to have a conversation there to see if there's any support for you. But my encouragement, no matter what, is that it's your responsibility to look after yourself. Now, and it's your responsibility to take action. No one's coming to rescue anybody. There is nobody on a noble steed who's going to come galloping down to find us. It doesn't work like that. But if you are beginning to sense a sadness coming over you, take responsibility, start to ask questions. This group is a great place to go, and it's a wonderful thing that you have used this space to be able to talk about your relationship, about the fact that you don't feel appreciated and you don't feel valued. I think that's a wonderful place to start. And then from there, you have to gauge your husband's reaction. If you get a sense that he's not interested, then you know that basically you're on your own. And it's better for you to admit that than to live with some sort of a fantasy that he would, because basically he's letting you know that's his truth. The challenge with so many of us is that we don't like people's truths. And so sometimes we get optimistic or hopeful or we think we might be able to change people. Accept the situation as it is, but it's important for your own psychological well-being that you take responsibility for looking after yourself. Because if postnatal depression grips you, kicks in, it can just rob you of your joy, you know, and you begin to see life through that black and white lens. And I know that's not what you want for yourself as a mother, as a human being, and that this is not easy. This will mean that there will be some uncomfortableness about having a difficult conversation. And, you know, sometimes you might be able to do that through a film, like a film might touch on depression, or you might be watching some documentary, something on the BBC or wherever, and it comes up. So you could piggyback off of that. But the most important thing to do is to start the conversation. Notice whether you feel you have partnership or interest on your partner. Based on his reaction, you'll get a sense of whether he doesn't care. And that's not nice, but sometimes people change in relationships. And so it may be in your best interest to start to think about, how do I best help myself in this situation? And often I find when people see that you start to change and they realize that you're not joking and, oh yeah, she's doing her own thing, somehow, sometimes, not in all situations, but they start to wake up. Or in some situations, if you've got a real nasty bugger on your hands, they'll start to try to sabotage you having any form of therapy because they see it as a threat, and some of them want us under their thumbs. However, let's presume you're not in such a negative situation, and that hopefully if he sees that you're starting to shift, taking responsibility for yourself, that may well inspire him. That's my thoughts on your anonymous post titled, I don't know where else to go for advice. It's your girl Key. I am a qualified psychotherapist at Key for Change. If this has resonated with anybody out there and you want to have a fact-finding call with myself, no charge, just run your dilemma past my ears and I'll give you some insights, hopefully some wisdom that will help you to think about what you need to do moving forward. Do take care of you, because if you don't, who do you think will come and save you? No one will. We have to do it for ourselves.